Kentucky plays its final game of the year at Rupp Arena on Tuesday night, welcoming LSU to town. And if you are a Kentucky team looking to get right after getting worked by Auburn in your last game, few teams you'd rather see on your schedule than LSU. One of, I think, two SEC teams between them and South Carolina that don't have any shot of making the NCAA tournament, barring an SEC tournament run. Is this just a matter of Kentucky playing to a certain level and them being fine in this game, Dion? Like, what do you want to see from the Wildcats in this game, given the fact they've lost three of their last five?
Um, so here's the thing. They've lost three of their last five. I felt like they were back following the Oklahoma game at full health. I did the Kentucky Auburn preview with G, and I said this is an absolute nightmare spot for a team to play Auburn um, in their second game, essentially back together since December.
Yeah.
That's an absolute nightmare if you're Kentucky. And I don't think, yeah, they lost by 16. The sky is falling. It's not. You lost to the best team in the country when you were at full strength, but not really. You haven't played together in months. And you're also missing Kirk Creesa, I guess, too. Uh,
Well, and I think too, it's natural to think sky is falling when you get the news Jackson Robinson's out for the year. He's not
right,
playing anymore with the wrist deal, and then you get blown out. Like
right.
that doesn't feel good. But I think your point, right, about like it's Auburn. It
So
happens.
Okay. They would lose to Auburn, in my opinion, at full strength had no one been hurt the whole season. It's the same group that played together in November, same exact rotations. That's just
Right.
all. When you
Right.
factor in everything else Kentucky was going through, it's like, hell yeah, they lost by 16 points. Like you would have to nearly be perfect against Auburn just to lose by single digits, not having the adversity Kentucky had. So I just think for me, it's more so like just take a deep breath. Like I want to see them play free. I want to see them have
Yeah.
fun. I want to see them be the team in November where they just looked like they enjoyed playing basketball. I don't feel like I've seen. I said that. Well, you and
Yeah,
I did
you
a
brought
preview
that
like a
up.
month ago, and I said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it was something the joy was a big part of that early season success. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's easier to be happier when you're having success and winning those games versus when you're not. I want to see Andrew Carr get back to being Andrew Carr because I think that's part of this too. He's been dinged up. He started to show signs of life the last week and a half. He scored 17 against Bama in the loss, 20 against Auburn in the loss. He was a really key piece for Kentucky during that when they were beating everybody in November and December. And then him being hurt has hurt them. You don't have that real stretch four, stretch five option that Mark Pope offenses are best when you can utilize that guy. It seems like he is getting back into form in that regard. And if that's the case, feel better about where Kentucky is. But like you need him to keep playing at this level. You need Lamont Butler to continue shaking off the rust and getting back to being the guy he was the first part of the year. I think Amari Williams has played really well. I know we've talked on the channel about Otega Owe, and I think there was even a short where I think it was you and Greg talked about if Kentucky has an Otega Owe problem.
Mm-hmm.
What he has done recently has been phenomenal, and I think Kentucky needs his aggressiveness. The key thing is like, okay, the guys who have been a little bit off, Andrew Carr, Lamont Butler, come to mind for me. Can you start playing right and getting yourselves together before we get to the most important time of the year? Because we're running out of runway. This is your last chance to kind of get right against an LSU team that is get rightable against at home. I want to see everything go well for Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just I think a lot of it's mental.
Yeah.
This Kentucky team isn't what's a nice way to put this? They're not the most talented roster.
No.
If we're being honest, Mark Pope is special and gels it all together. But what part of him gelling it together is the pride that they play with, the joy that they play with, the togetherness that they play with, the connectivity, you could say. All
Yeah.
that's been missing. That isn't fully Mark Pope's fault. Um, there's an element of these guys. I think their heads got a little big. What did they peak at? Three in the country?
They were top five. I
I
don't know.
know it
It
was top
may have
five.
been three. It was
It was
top
either
five.
three or four. I know that
Yeah,
it was like three or four. And I think this is a
yeah,
group of guys that like Kirk Kriisa probably was ranked top five at Arizona. But outside of Kirk Kriisa, I mean, you got Andrew Carr, he came from Wake. That's not something he has to worry about at Wake.
right.
Otega Owe is coming from Oklahoma. He ain't got to worry about that at Oklahoma. Jackson coming from BYU, like I mean, not before they moved to the Big 12 did you have to worry about that too much, right? Maybe
Right.
when he was at Arkansas, but he wasn't playing on that roster. So I think it's a group of guys that got like their heads got a little big. I look at the comment Otega made to the Georgia players of like, hey, this is your Super Bowl type of thing, where it's just like maybe you got a
Yeah.
little too big for your bridges and forgot like how you got to that point. And I think now your back's against the wall. You don't have a choice but to remember what got you there.
I think we've seen that with their defense as well, because Kentucky's defense was atrocious earlier this season. It's still not like awesome, but it is vastly improved to where I think it's a passable unit, right? It's a better than bad unit, which it was really bad at one point. From the LSU side of things, they're 3-13 in conference play, below 500 on the season. They've lost 3 games in a row, but last week they only lost Tennessee by 6. That was a tougher game than expected. They hung with Florida for a good bit. They hung with Bama for a good bit. At Bama, that was the famous Mark Sears game, right? Where they benched Mark Sears second half of this game. So this LSU team, while not closing the deal on a lot of these SEC games, has been in them. What do they need to do to kind of get over the hump in this game? What has to happen if LSU is going to get over the hump and pull off the upset in Lexington?
Um, the Cam Carter legacy game.
Can happen. Can happen.
Cam Carter, I think it. No, I mean, uh, if you get to Kentucky quick, I think that's how you beat them. I think this team is faltering when it comes to confidence at the moment. Um, I if I'm a Kentucky fan, like I would feel nervous about the idea of them having to come back in the game. I think they're lacking some of that mental fortitude. If you know all those things, if you can visually see all those things, okay, punch them in the mouth quick. Don't allow them to regain the confidence and joy that I'm speaking about and make them play the way they played the last few weeks.
Yeah, get the doubt in there, right? Get
Mm-hmm.
get the doubt in their heads. Ken Palm doesn't expect there to be much doubt in this game. Kentucky is projected to win by 14 on Ken Palm, 86-72. Does Kentucky cover that number? LSU, too many points. How are you seeing this play out?
16, you said?
14, 86 to
14.
72.
Too many points. Too many points. Yeah. I hate to
I
say that. I hate to say that. I want to pick Kentucky so bad.
I think Kentucky needs to get right, and Kentucky has gotten right in the past. The last time they had this exact situation was a month ago, where they had come off the Arkansas loss, come off the Ole Miss loss right after that, and then in walked South Carolina, the other awful team in the SEC, and they
Mhm.
won that game by 23. I see a similar thing happening here, where I think Kentucky wins this game by about 20, 18 to 22 or so, because I think they need it and they'll have the opportunity to get it and capitalize on it. So give me Kentucky in a blowout here.
What do you think? How many points do you think they score? Like 100?
I'll go high 80s. I think LSU's better than that, but I'll go like 87 to 68.
Oh, so you think they kind of slow them down? See, I could see Kentucky winning by like close to 20, but I think they got to touch that 100 point mark. I don't know if Kentucky has anything for Cam Carter.
It may not, but I mean, what else does anybody else on LSU have for Kentucky?
That's fair. That's listen. LSU doesn't have a lot for a lot of teams.
No, no, but we'll be back with a full breakdown after the game here on the channel. So make sure you like and subscribe.